+2 ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ଇୟର ପିଲାମାନେ ତମର ଇଂଲିଶ ରଟା ଏଇଟା 2 ମାର୍କିଆ 3 ମାର୍କିଆ 5 ମାର୍କିଆ କୋଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ଆନ୍ସର ତ ଏଇଟା ଦେଖିପାରିବେ ଆଜି ବି ସାର୍ ପଢ଼ାବେ ମୁଇଁ ନେ ପଢ଼ା ତ ସାର୍ ଭଲ ପଢ଼ଉଛନ୍ ତ ସେଥିଲାଗି ଇଂଲିଶ ସାର୍ ପଢ଼ାବେ ବାକି ସବୁ ମୁଇଁ ପଢ଼ାମି ଠିକ୍ ଅଛି ତ ସାର୍ଙ୍କର ଭିଡ଼ିଓ ଦେଖ କେନ୍ତା ପଢ଼ଉଛନ୍ ଯେ
1. Q. Why did Jesse Owens feel angry before the long jump trials? A. Owens was angry because Adolf Hitler had kept Luz Long as a secret weapon to prove the Aryan superiority theory, which challenged Owens' belief in his own skill. 2. Q. What did Luz Long tell Owens to help him qualify for the finals? A. Luz Long suggested that Owens should draw a line a few inches behind the takeoff board and aim to jump from there to avoid further foul jumps. 3. Q. Why did Winston Churchill dislike examinations? A. Churchill disliked exams because examiners asked questions on subjects he was weak in, like Latin and maths, instead of history and poetry which he liked. 4. Q. How did the headmaster, Mr. Weldon, judge Churchill's ability? A. Mr. Weldon was a man of great insight who looked beneath the surface of Churchill's blank answer sheet and recognized his hidden potential. 5. Q. Why was the grandmother unhappy with the city school education? A. She was unhappy because the school taught science and music instead of scriptures and God, and she could no longer help the author with his studies. 6. Q. How did the sparrows mourn the death of the grandmother? A. Thousands of sparrows sat silently around her body without chirping. They did not even touch the breadcrumbs offered to them and flew away quietly when the body was taken. Poetry. Poems. 7. Q. Where did the poet see the daffodils and what were they doing? A. The poet saw the daffodils beside the lake, beneath the trees. They were fluttering and dancing in the breeze, looking full of life. 8. Q. What is the wealth that the poet refers to in daffodils? A. The wealth refers to the long-lasting joy and pleasant memories that the sight of the daffodils brought to the poet's mind later in life. 9. Q. Why did Father Gilligan cry out, "Mavron, Mavron"? A. He cried out in grief and guilt because he fell asleep due to exhaustion and could not reach a dying man to perform his religious duties. 10. Q. How did God help Father Gilligan in his time of need? A. God sent an angel in the form of Father Gilligan to the dying man's house to perform the last rites while the real priest was asleep. 11. Q. What is the central message of a psalm of life? A. The poem teaches that life is real and earnest. We should not focus on enjoyment or sorrow, but work hard to make progress every single day. 12. Q. What does the poet mean by art is long and time is fleeting? A. It means that learning or achieving something great takes a long time, but our life is very short and passing away quickly. Short stories / non-detailed. 13. Q. Why was Dr. Raman's opinion considered very important? A. Dr. Raman was a very honest doctor who never spoke false words to comfort patients. If he said there was hope, the patient usually survived. 14. Q. Why did Dr. Raman decide to tell a lie to Gopal? A. He lied to Gopal about his health to give him the will to live, as he believed that the truth about Gopal's critical condition might kill him instantly. 15. Q. What was the reaction of the village people to the stay-at-home daughter? A. The villagers pitied the daughter because she stayed at home to serve her parents while other girls got married and left. 1. How did Luz Long's friendship affect Jesse Owens' performance? Ans. Luz Long's genuine friendship and advice saved Owens from failing in the trials. By suggesting Owens jump from a few inches behind the board, Long boosted his confidence. This bond helped Owens perform at his best and win the gold medal, proving that true sportsmanship is more important than winning. 2. Describe the Aryan superiority theory and Owens' reaction to it. Hence, the Aryan superiority theory was a belief by Adolf Hitler that Germans, Aryans, were superior to all other races. Being an African American, Jesse Owens felt insulted and determined to prove this theory wrong. He wanted to show the world that talent and hard work are not bound by race. 3. Why does Churchill feel he was at a disadvantage during his entrance exam to Harrow? Ans. Churchill felt disadvantaged because the entrance exam focused on Latin and mathematics, subjects he disliked and knew little about. He wanted to be tested on history and poetry instead. Because of this mismatch, he couldn't write a single answer on his Latin paper, except his name and the question number. 4. How did the grandmother spend her days in the city? Ans. In the city, the grandmother's role changed. She no longer went to school with the author. She spent most of her time at her spinning wheel from sunrise to sunset, reciting prayers. In the afternoon, her only relaxation was feeding hundreds of sparrows in the courtyard. 5. What message does the poet convey through the phrase, footprints on the sands of time? Ans. In A Psalm of Life, Longfellow uses this phrase to suggest that great men leave behind noble examples, footprints, through their achievements. These footprints serve as a guide and source of hope for others who are struggling or feeling hopeless in the solemn main of life. 6. Describe the scenic beauty of the daffodils as described by Wordsworth. Ans. Wordsworth describes the daffodils as a crowd and a host growing beside the lake. They were continuous like the stars in the Milky Way. They were tossing their heads in a sprightly dance, and their beauty surpassed even the sparkling waves of the lake nearby. 7. Why was Father Gilligan weary, and how did he react to the poor man's call? Ans. Father Gilligan was exhausted, because half of his parish was either sick or dead due to an epidemic. He had been performing funeral services day and night. When a poor man sent for him, he complained out of pure exhaustion, saying he had no rest, though he immediately regretted his words. 8. What happened when Father Gilligan woke up and rushed to the sick man's house? Ans. Upon waking up at dawn, he realized he had slept through his duty. He rode his horse recklessly to reach the sick man's house. However, to his surprise, the man's widow told him that he had already visited, and the man died peacefully. This made him realize God had sent an angel in his place. 9. Why did Dr. Raman think it was necessary to tell a lie to his friend Gopal? Ans. Dr. Raman believed that Gopal's life was hanging by a thread. He felt that if he told the truth about Gopal's critical condition, Gopal would lose his will to live and die immediately. To give him a glimmer of hope and a chance at recovery, he lied and said Gopal would be fine. 10. What is the significance of the title, The Portrait of a Lady? Ans. The title is significant because the story is a vivid pen portrait of the author's grandmother. It describes not just her physical appearance, old, wrinkled, white-clad, but also her inner beauty, her spiritual strength, her love for animals, and her steadfast devotion to her faith. 1. Bring out the contrast between the grandmother's life in the village and the city. The Portrait of a Lady. Answer. The author's grandmother lived two very different lives. In the village, she was actively involved in the author's life. She would wake him up, dress him, and accompany him to the temple school. She was in her natural element, feeding street dogs and being part of a close community. However, in the city, her life became lonely. She couldn't help the author with his English school lessons and hated that there was no religious teaching. Her link with the author was snapped when he got a separate room. She accepted her seclusion with resignation and spent her time spinning the wheel and feeding sparrows. This shows her adaptability and deep spiritual strength despite the changing world around her. 2. Luz Long was the epitome of true sportsmanship. Discuss. My greatest Olympic prize. Answer. Luz Long, a German athlete, proved that true sportsmanship is greater than winning medals. Even though he was Jesse Owens' direct rival and Hitler wanted him to win to prove Aryan superiority, Long helped Owens when he was struggling. Seeing Owens frustrated after 2 foul jumps, Long gave him a technical tip to jump from a few inches behind the board. This advice saved Owens from disqualification, and Owens eventually won the gold medal. Instead of being jealous, Long was the first one to congratulate Owens with a firm handshake. As Pierre de Coubertin said, the important thing in the Olympics is not winning, but taking part well. Luz Long lived this ideal, making his friendship the greatest Olympic prize for Owens. 3. What is the central message, theme, of the poem, A Psalm of Life? Answer. The central message of H.W. Longfellow's poem is that life is real and earnest. He argues against the idea that life is just an empty dream or a journey toward the grave. The poet encourages the youth to be heroes in the strife and not dumb-driven cattle. The theme focuses on action, We must act in the present to make each tomorrow better than today. Legacy. Like great men, we should leave footprints on the sands of time to inspire others who are struggling. Patience. We must learn to labor and to wait. Overall, the poem is a call to live a purposeful, brave and hardworking life rather than wasting it in sadness or idle enjoyment. 4. How did Dr. Raman's lie save Gopal's life? The doctor's word. Answer. In R.K. Narayan's story, Dr. Raman is known for his deadly honesty. He never gave false hopes. However, when his best friend Gopal was on his deathbed, Dr. Raman faced a dilemma. He knew Gopal's condition was critical, but he also realized that Gopal's survival depended on his will to live. If Dr. Raman had told the truth, the shock would have killed Gopal instantly. To save his friend, the doctor broke his lifelong rule and told a white lie that Gopal would live for a long time. This lie acted as a psychological medicine. It gave Gopal the hope and strength he needed to recover. By the next morning, the miracle happened. Gopal's heart was steady. Thus, the doctor's word, even though a lie, became a life-saving tool.
ता संग हमारी वीडियो इन एंड होचे जी हमारे चैनल के न्यू आइसो प्लीज सब्सक्राइब करवा हमर अंता वीडियो देखवा लगे आर ता संग संग वीडियो के लाइक कर दीजिए तो मिलमा नेक्स्ट वीडियो रे।